she don't care what you think. Granniopteryx, granniopteryx, she knows the truth, she's linking every link.
Hello. The obvious social disintegration in this country, the incompetence and authoritarianism of our government, and the recognition that the state no longer seems to see the work of government as a cooperation with the people, but as an imposition of power over those it sees as its intellectual and even spiritual inferiors, the far right. That's been remarked on many times in comments under my videos and other people's videos and on Twix, you name it, it turns up all the time, and it's often framed in the following way. George Orwell's 1984 was a warning, not an instruction manual. Well, Orwell did talk about the deliberate corrosion of language, for instance. He did talk about the restriction of free thought, and he also talked about the march towards a bureaucratic tyranny that's self-perpetuating, as he said, forever. And anyone with any sense can see that happening. We can also see something else that's not being much quoted now, and I'm going to be telling you what it is after I've told you that I'm granniopteryx, asking you to like this video, to share it, and to subscribe to my channel. Liking is apparently very important, I have been told. It does help the algorithm move the video onwards and upwards. If you want to contribute financially, remembering of course that I waste it all almost all on my horses, had to buy a new printer last week. It's still downstairs next to the front door because it's too heavy for me to get it up to the attic. That's another story. Apart from that, if you want to contribute financially, all the methods whereby you might do that, the addresses and things, URLs are in the description. Right, let's get on with the instruction manual for a bureaucratic tyranny and why it's not quite working out. So if you go back to the Hebrew Bible, this isn't a religious studies lesson, I just want to point something out to you. You'll see there are people there who are called prophets. The trouble with the word prophet is that it didn't mean quite the same thing in Hebrew as it does in English, and the meaning's been a bit twisted. But the prophets of the Hebrew Bible they're not psychics. They can't see into the future. They can't communicate with ghosts or spirits or whatever. And if you look at what they're doing and in the Bible and separating out the religious aspect of their predictions from just what they were doing, what you're seeing is people who can see the future, not because they actually have a window into what's ahead, but what they're doing is they're looking at what their contemporaries around them. They're looking at what they're doing and they're projecting into the future the results of their behaviours. And they can see where those behaviours are going. So they don't have to have any supernatural aspects or contacts. They're just looking ahead with more perception than other people. Now, it's in a way, it's like any of us, driving down a road, and it's a very long, straight road, and you can see ahead that there's a lot, just out on the horizon, there are a lot of really heavy, dark clouds. And you can also see from, the little glints on the car windows way down that road, you can see there's a whole lot of them all jammed up together. The traffic isn't running smoothly. It looks like those clouds are releasing perhaps a lot of rain, or if you're in the winter time, maybe some snow. And you can also see there are there's quite a lot of traffic around you, and you don't have to have any psychic ability to see that in a little while you are going to be heading towards a huge traffic jam. And if you're really aware of these things, you'll find a turning to get off that road before you reach that dark cloud area. That's what a prophet is in these days. And we have those prophets in these days as well. And one of them was George Orwell, of course. Now, I see many comments under videos about the dictatorial turn our society appears to have taken. This is no secret. And there are frequently people saying that Orwell's 1984 was supposed to be a warning, not an instruction manual. Well, Orwell, having lived through the unavoidable authoritarianism that was running Britain during World War II, and of course he saw communism in action in Spain as well, and he saw it in action in the Soviet Union. And remember, he was a journalist, so he would have got bits of news that maybe the authorities weren't that keen for the average British person to know. And he could see he had a bit more information. Again, not psychic. It wasn't psychic. It was just he had more information. And he was able to see that road ahead that Britain was heading for if we didn't turn off at the right time. So we get lots of quotes from 1984, and lots of people who are intent on showing how bad things are will use the same quotes that Orwell, the same things that Orwell said about that dark cloud that he saw. But there is something that I haven't seen quoted, and it was also one of Orwell's predictions, but it wasn't so bleak as the others that keep getting wheeled out. And so, again, it wasn't Orwell having a psychic episode. He wasn't predicting anything in that way. He just had a clear vision of how British people are and what they represent. In the Raising the Colours movement, in the non-violent patriotic demonstrations outside migrant hotels, and in the many podcasts run by previously non-political and hitherto usually voiceless working class people, Orwell made another prediction which is coming true. It's materialising now, and I'm going to read it to you. This is also in 1984. And this was, I believe, what Winston Smith wrote in his diary. If there was hope, it must lie in the proles, because only there, in those swarming disregarded masses, 85% of the population of Oceania, could the force to destroy the party ever be generated. And by the party here, let's think of the Uni Party, the Conservatives and Labour. The party could not be overthrown from within, he says. But the proles, if only they could somehow become conscious of their own strength, would need only to rise up and shake themselves like a horse shaking off flies. If they chose, they could blow the party to pieces tomorrow morning. Surely, sooner or later, it must occur to them to do it. Now, of course, I am not talking about a physical blowing apart, just in case the government decides to read that into what I've just read. I am reading George Orwell, which may be on the prescribed list soon, but it isn't now. And I am talking about blowing the party to pieces in the sense that they will lose their influence, they will lose their hegemony. And George Orwell predicted that just as much as he predicted the rise of tyranny and the corruption of language. And since he was right about that, I have an idea he's going to be right about this as well. OK, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.